So welcome to the next part of the Cyprus trip vlog. As you can see, I'm enjoying the weather still. I hear the weather in the UK has been pretty abysmal, so I am still loving this so much. I'm going to miss it. I'm coming back at the end of the week and I hear that I'm coming back to rain. Don't know how I'm going to cope. I mean, don't get me wrong, this place has had a couple of days of wind and the odd shower here and there, but it's still been about 25 degrees over here. And today I'm out, and as you can see, well, I'm still enjoying getting a bit of a tan out here. Some clips coming up from earlier in the week, and then we'll resume with the rest of this week doing a bit more music stuff. Hope you enjoy the track that's in this song. It's the same one as last week, but I've been working on it a bit more. I now have a couple of tracks, about 2 or 3 tracks that I've done over this holiday that will hopefully get turned into something finished. Definitely been influenced by this holiday. And I may even have one more in the pipeline because I've still got about 5 days left here, so enjoying the remainder of this holiday. So enjoy the rest of the Cyprus trip. I always eat it first before I end up filming it. This is a dragon fruit, but I've eaten it all already. But it's kind of like a seedy, mushy texture. It doesn't really show it in the best light now that I've already eaten it. But it looks really pretty. It's actually from a cactus. Today is Tuesday, and I thought today would be, sorry about the noise in the background. I thought today would be a good day because it's a little bit cloudier today, to go off into the mountains where it can get down to about 12 degrees, but they look fantastic. So we're going to go up to the mountains today, Troodos. We're how high are we? We must be 1,400 meters high now. 1,400. See right down there is down there. I don't know. We're heading towards Troodos Mountains, which is in Cyprus, obviously quite high up. We've just been going up basically, and it's getting cooler and cooler as we do so. The sun's really nice though, so it's starting to feel more like sort of a typical British afternoon, really, isn't it? Must be about sort of 18 degrees up here. Yeah, what do you say? It feels like that, about 18 degrees. The scenery is absolutely gorgeous. We keep missing viewing spots because I keep missing the viewing spots as we drive by. I blame Ellie.
I blame you because you're driving.
Yeah, I know. It's because you keep putting all that music on, I can't think. The clouds are really spectacular up here. We're now over 1,500 meters up. We're going up and up further into the mountains now. This is quite a cool viewing spot here. It's like a kind of a, if I stand back. Oh, Ali's being attacked by a wasp. But it's a quite cool viewing platform. Yeah. I like the way that they've got this glass area here to prevent you from leaping off to your death. Very thoughtful of them, isn't it? Yeah, all these pine trees here. Yeah, they have a really distinct smell to them. And the area is literally full of pine trees. Take a look at these rocks as well, and the whole scenery in general is quite spectacular. So this is the village of Troodos. We've just been asked if we want to buy 100 different types of nut. So to be fair, they're really nice. We did get to try some honey nuts and stuff. This place relies heavily on tourism, so they're probably quite desperate to make a bit of money at the moment. But it's a beautiful location. As you can see, Ellie's already donned her top. I'm feeling a little chilly, but it's still very, in the sun it's lovely. But it's quite cool. The air's really cool, and noticeable difference up here. Didn't have a stroke? How cute is he? Look at that scenery there. We're sort of at the tallest point now, and we've crossed over to the other side. What you're seeing down there is kind of like probably the north west side of the coastline. There's a really cool viewing spot that I want to check out around here. Fortunately, everybody else wants to check it out too. So we picked up some nuts. These things are nice. Honey cashew nuts. Perfect for well, snacking. Oh, they're so good. This is the Botanical Gardens, which is really pretty. Although whether I can be bothered to walk up it, I don't know. But it's really nice. Thing is it me or is the air thinner up here? It definitely is, isn't it? I feel like I'm running out of breath quicker than I normally would do up here. And I've hardly walked much. So this is the dam, which probably feeds most of our water around here. It's looking reasonably okay at the moment. It's full of water, which is always a good sign. Normally if this starts to empty, they start to have drought warnings and all sorts, so it's quite an impressive dam though. This Cyprus, this is Paphos, one of the best places in Paphos for fruit. They have tons of stuff in here. Look at these, they're like pumpkins. Fancy a snail? The problem with these dudes is they seem to be invading the local produce. That one's almost escaped. I'm gonna get out of here and have me a banana. You get a really good selection of juices over here as well. But you also get really good alcohol selection. I mean really good. So we're about to go on a boat trip. That's not our boat though. This is our boat here. And I'm finishing a sweet. What are you eating? I'm eating me Haribo cherries. It's a glass bottom boat, so we'll see what we see on this little trip of ours. There's not too many people on the boat as well, which is quite nice. Really sunny day again, lovely, perfect for this sort of trip. It's basically an hour and a half, and we get to go and see some stuff in the sea and then go for a swim. So should be fun. I'm hoping this will run now because it was a bit glitchy before, struggling because there's quite a lot of running. Basically, this is the track that you've heard me do, and I've introduced the newer mastered version, or improved. There are lots of mixing changes as well. And I wanted to show you what I do for mastering. Now, obviously, I've also made mix changes in here. I tend to mix and master together. I'm going to say this straight away. I don't class myself necessarily as a mastering engineer, even if I do know the techniques that are used when mastering. So these are just really guidelines that you might want to use in order to help yourself to come up with a decent master of your own. There are cheap ways of doing this. It's not even really that expensive when it comes to doing this yourself. By paying somebody. You know, you could be talking £60 to £100, you go up to £150, but all in all, you're probably going to find these guys who charge these sorts of amounts will all be able to do a better, or at least give you another set of ears and do things differently than you might. It's having the room that really helps. And of course, you've got to bear in mind, I'm on holiday and I've got my headphones. I'm using a decent pair of headphones to do this, but it's never going to be quite as good. But anyway, with that said, let's go through and see what I've done. So this is the first plugin I've got on here. What does this do? This basically is adding a bit of punch. I put this on very early on when I'm mixing, okay? So bear in mind, when I throw this stuff on, I'm potentially going to change it all at some point anyway. So I will then sort of add bits and pieces and then maybe take them back off again later on to make sure that I'm not confusing myself. Really, you shouldn't necessarily master and mix at the same time, but there is the way of doing top-down mastering, which is quite good fun. Try your own things, but here's my second suggestion, is to apply sort of a broadband kind of EQing to boost maybe the tops and the bottoms of the frequencies. I do this very gently. I usually don't do it very much either, just little bits here. And I even think now these amounts are possibly a bit extreme. But there we go. Let me just show you what that one does actually. Boosting a little bit of the low and boosting a bit of the top. These figures here, these frequencies, are much more broader than you think. So even though you might say that I want to boost at 30, you probably find it's actually still also boosting at 60 and maybe even higher. I haven't really looked into it, but the frequencies that are effects, this is why you have to do it all by ear, because the slope of the boost of the frequencies can be very different to what you see. The next up plugin is this one. This one's subtle and it's hard to hear unless you've got decent headphones on or decent monitoring. It's a compressor, but it also clips, this little soft clip here. That basically means it just chops a little bit of the top off. It's a subtle way of boosting the volume without it being heard. I'm not sure. I'm playing with it at the moment, experimenting with it, trying to work out what I think of it really. So there we go. Now here's something which I've noticed I've added on here. I don't know how awake I was when I did it, but let's have a listen to see what it does. If you can hear this, it's adding a bit of distortion on there, which is being blended in. I'm not sure whether I like it yet. Bear in mind, I've put these things on here and I don't know whether or not they'll stay. But this is something you might want to put a little touch of distortion overall on your whole mix. Adds a bit of crunchiness to it. Be careful with stuff like that though. I need to listen to it a lot to decide whether I really like something like that or not. But you can use it on there. And bear in mind that the rule of thumb is that these are not necessarily the right ways to put everything on here. The arrangement that I've put on here is just the way I worked through when I did it. So this is Gullfoss. I've spoken about this in the past. It's quite a special plugin. It basically auto-corrects stuff with a sort of a clever algorithm. Let's have a listen. It's just putting in little troughs and peaks and things here. I've got it running at a very low amount because what I tend to use Gullfoss for is I look at what it's doing when I push it, and then I have a look and see if those areas are things I could go back and figure out myself. So although, yes, it's great for automated, I mean, look at it's going crazy with some sort of reverb tail there, but anyway, it's basically, it's a useful mastering plugin, okay. Now this is one of my favourite plugins that I got not that long ago. There are quite a few things in here which are doing a lot. I'm actually using another clipper here. I don't know if I've got too much clipping going on. I think I might do actually, to be honest. It feels a bit crunchy at the moment to me. But here is a limiter. You can see on the right hand side here, it's showing you how much it's basically limiting and it's squishing the overall mix down. It's a way to make everything a lot louder. This is Elevate by Newfangled Audio. It's one of the best limiters out there in plugin form. There's quite a few of them. This is one of the big guys. There's a few others from FabFilter and whatnot, but I happen to own this one. And so I've been learning how it works. It's got so much power in it. There's all sorts of crazy stuff like all this, which I'll be honest with you is just a little bit above my head, but it's one of those things that I'd be better off learning how it works and getting into it rather than trying to learn something else, in my view. Okay, I have next up, which is just an A/B plugin, which is this one. I A/B it with a few other mixes that I like to see what I like the sound of. I've got a couple in here that I'll A/B it with at the moment. I can flick a switch in, just go between one mix and another, and hear how how somebody else has done that. So it's useful for me to compare, basically. Then I use this, which is my Sound ID reference plugin. This basically will take my headphones and it will adjust the EQ on them to make them more accurate. I've used this before in the past. I can use it with things like speakers and stuff like that, so it's quite handy as well. And then this is a software called Can Opener. It's a very simple one. It adds, it changes your headphones to give you more of an accurate representation of what it would be like to mix on speakers. I like it because I definitely hear something happens with the low end particularly. And it really helps me to do my bass. It's got a quick mono switch here as well, so I use that. There's no point me showing it on here because you need to have headphones on really to listen to it. I'd recommend, if you really want to see what it seems like to use it, to try it out. I actually find, yes, I like it. Combined this with the Sound ID reference plugin here, I can turn my headphones into something that actually is quite usable for mixing on. And if you listen to what I've done on this one, and if you go back to earlier on in the vlog, and you hear the previous mixes earlier on, that was helped by putting these two on. I could really hear the differences I needed. And finally, if you want something amazing, if I haven't shown you this before, this is one of the best free plugins I think anyone can get whilst mixing or doing their own home mastering. You can actually see I've got quite a dip still around there. I need to have a look at that and see what's causing that. But this basically is one of the best metering plugins that's free out there. And I know a lot of people who use Span, they love it. It's pretty much a go-to for people these days because it's got everything you need in there. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview of how I like to master my music. Like I say, these plugins, I'm always constantly playing with them, but the general rule is to use a bus compressor if you want to. It gives you a bit of a pump sometimes, or a punch that you can get with the mix. To use a sort of broadish band EQ, this is modelled after like a Pultec style EQ with big sweeping gentle curves. To use something like a compressor like this, a mastering sort of compressor, maybe with some soft clipping in there as well. Distortion is not necessarily really a mastering plugin. I'll leave that one up to you. You might want to consider something more tape-like as well. This does also model tape saturation, but that's something you need to decide. Gullfoss is great if you're just looking for something to help you in getting to a master quicker. It certainly gives you ideas to look out for, and it gives you some indication of where you are. Okay, and then you really want to have a limiter at the end, something that you can basically just go into to make sure none of your peaks clip and go over 0 dB, because 0 dB, anything over that on the stereo out, basically means you are screwing up your audio. So when you're mixing in the box, I certainly recommend keeping it within the red. Within the green. Don't go over and make this clip and go red. You always want to keep it there. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea as to how I master. So thanks for watching my last vlog. Hope you enjoy that, the mastering chain that I use as well when mastering my own music. By the time you see this, I'll be on a plane back to the UK. How am I supposed to leave this? I don't know. Glorious sunset every day. It's getting shorter evenings now though. I mean, the sun's been quite low in the sky. It's still really warm here. It's amazing what a different feel it is in November in Cyprus though to other times when I've ever been over here. But well, I'm glad you've been watching all my vlogs. If you've stayed through the adventures this year that I've been going on. I've decided that from now on they're going to be more music focused. The trip outs and everything have been great. I can't really top this one, I don't think. And I think it's a good time for me to stop making so many trip out vlogs and focusing more on music vlogs. So this is going to be more of a chance for me to spend a bit more time focusing on showing you some of the tricks and the techniques and things I've learned in music that I've done over the years, and I'll share them all with you, and I'll share things that I begin to pick up on more. So there's lots of stuff, as I have said, going on in terms of where I'm going with the music and everything. So I think that would be the best thing for this channel to now do. So if music's your bag, if music production is your bag particularly, and you want to see more of it, tune in next week. If you want to still see bits of trips and stuff, there'll still be the odd thing here or there that probably goes into my vlogs, but they're going to be a lot more focused, and I hope that that'll be what people want to see more of from me, especially if you're into music. And I've got quite a lot to offer. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've picked up a lot of tricks, and as you can see, I'm quite used to going around and working with music and doing different things. So please tune in next week to carry on watching all of that, and thanks for watching. Trip back tomorrow on the plane. I'll see you next week and catch you later.